I remember the smell of ripe plantains in my shopping bag as I pushed open the front door that afternoon. I had stopped at Mama Ijiro's stand on the way back, hoping to surprise my husband. Chike with his favorite meal, dodo and spicy goat pepper soup. But what greeted me wasn't excitement. It was silence. The kind of silence that wraps around your neck and tightens slowly. There were no tiny shoes scattered on the floor. No backpacks flung onto the couch. No cartoons echoing from the TV. The house, usually buzzing with the chaos of our two kids, Tari and Amara, was still. I called out, "Chike, Tari, Amara." No answer. I dropped the bag and rushed through every room. Empty, clean, unsettlingly neat. Like someone had wiped away every trace of life. Then I saw it. An envelope placed precisely at the center of the glass dining table. My name was scrawled across it in Chike's handwriting. My hands trembled as I tore it open. Inside, a one-way flight itinerary from Lagos to Toronto, booked 2 days ago. A stamped withdrawal slip, 6 million gone from our joint account. And a single note. "You're free now, I've taken the kids. They'll be better off where they are. I've left you enough money to start a new life. Please don't look for us." There was no explanation, no apology, no signature, just devastation dressed in ink. For a moment, I forgot how to breathe. The room swayed. My knees buckled as I grabbed the chair to stop from falling. Gone, my babies were gone. I dialed Chike's number, it rang once. Then switched off. I called again. Again, I tried his work line. Nothing. I raced to his office, deserted. Neighbors said he hadn't been around in days. I went to his family. His mother shook her head. He said he needed space. Maybe it's best this way. His brother added, "You're lucky he left you money. Focus on that and move on." Move on, with what? Cash soaked in betrayal. I sat in my car, stared at the dashboard, and screamed until I couldn't anymore. And then, silence again. But this time the silence didn't choke. It ignited. I looked down at the note. "Don't look for us." He thought I would stay broken. That I would accept money, in place of motherhood. That I would disappear like a quiet secret. He forgot one thing. I am a mother. And he just declared war. The days that followed felt like falling into a bottomless pit. I stopped answering calls. I stopped eating. I stopped existing. The house, once filled with giggles, crying, and toy cars rolling under the couch, was now a haunted museum of motherhood. Their drawings were still pinned to the fridge. Tari's left sandal was still under the TV stand. Amara's tiny pink bonnet sat on the armrest, as if waiting for her return. And I kept waiting. At first, I thought maybe it was a twisted joke. Maybe Chike was testing me, trying to scare me into something. What? I didn't know. But the days turned into a week and nothing changed. His phone still off. His office cleared out. Our joint account still empty. His email deactivated. I went to the police, clutching every document I could gather, birth certificates, our marriage license, photos. The officer at the desk barely looked up before saying, "Ma, if your husband took his children, it's a family matter. There's not much we can do." Family matter. I was dismissed with a form and a shrug. One night, I found myself sitting on the floor of the children's room at 2 a.m., holding Amara's stuffed bear to my chest, trying to remember the sound of her laugh. I realized I hadn't bathed in 3 days. I hadn't eaten in 2. My phone buzzed with a message from an old friend. I saw Chike's Facebook update. He changed his status Tamari to Joanne as. Is that true? My fingers went numb. Joanne, a name I'd never heard. A woman who apparently now had my husband, my children, and a life abroad built on my erasure. I searched her profile. It was private, but her bio read, "Wife vertical bar, mama of 2 vertical bar, blessed beyond measure." I stared at the screen in disbelief. My kids, my husband, my family, her blessing. That night I didn't cry, I didn't scream. I showered, I ate, I combed my hair for the first time in a week. Then I sat down with a pen and paper and started writing. Not just a plan, a declaration. He wanted silence. He left me with money to keep me quiet. He expected me to curl up, lick my wounds, and stay behind while they built a life without me. But silence was no longer an option. I was done being the abandoned woman, the pitied mother, the quiet one. I wasn't looking for pity. I was looking for fire, and I was about to light the first match. I didn't rehearse it. There was no script, no perfect lighting, no makeup, just me, sitting on the floor of my children's room, surrounded by their memories. Amara's bunny blanket folded on the bed behind me and Tari's handwriting still on the wall in crayon. "Mummy loves us." The camera shook a little as I propped it up on a stack of books. My hands were trembling, but not from fear, from fury. I hit record. My name is Adebayo Nwachukwu. I am a mother of two beautiful children, Tari and Amara. 2 weeks ago, my husband disappeared with them. I came home to an empty house and an envelope. Inside was a flight itinerary to Canada, a bank slip showing 18.6 million withdrawn from our account, and a note telling me to move on. I later found out he remarried a woman abroad and took my children to live with her. I have no access, no rights, no voice. But I will not be silent. I am speaking now, not just for myself, but for every woman who has ever been discarded and expected to disappear quietly. We are not disposable, we are not weak, and I will not let him erase me. I paused, my throat tightened, but I didn't cut the video. I let the emotion show. Chike, if you're watching this, hear me, you may have taken my children, but I'm still their mother. You may think you've won, but this is just the beginning. I won't stop until the world knows what you did. And to the woman holding my children, you may have my title, but you will never have my soul. This isn't over. I uploaded the video across all platforms: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. Then I closed the phone, laid my head on the pillow, and slept through the night for the first time since everything fell apart. By morning, my phone was melting. Messages, notifications, missed calls, comments, shares, duets, stitch videos. The view count climbed by the second. 40,000. 102,000. 324,000. People were reposting. Women were crying in their replies. Celebrities quoted it. Some dragged me, saying I should be grateful he left money. Others stood by me like warriors with sharpened swords. But one message caught my eye. Verified account, DM request. It read, "My name is Vanessa Ez. I'm a Nigerian-born human rights lawyer based in Canada. I saw your video, I believe you. And I want to help, but we have to move fast. Don't reply here. Delete this message after reading. I'll send instructions through encrypted mail." My heart stopped. Finally, a lifeline. Not a pity message, not an empty prayer. A plan. That's when I knew Chike made the mistake of his life. Because I wasn't just going to fight. I was going to win, and the world would watch it happen. I stared at the message from Vanessa for a long time. It felt like someone had thrown me a rope while I was drowning. I didn't know who she really was, or if she could be trusted. But something about her message was different. It was clear, direct, firm, not sympathetic. Strategic. I deleted it instantly, just as she instructed, and waited. 2 hours later, I received an email from a burner Gmail account titled, "Vanessa, urgent but safe communication only." Inside was a message. Ada, I'm a licensed human rights and family law attorney in Ontario. I've handled 3 international custody abduction cases involving Nigerian women. I need your cooperation and silence. We will build your case quietly, legally, and thoroughly. First, apply for a new international passport. Use the speaking visa invitation letter I've attached. You're coming here as a guest panelist for a Women in Diaspora conference. It's real, and your attendance has been arranged. Keep your phone clean. Don't tell anyone, especially not family. Time is not your friend, but I am. Vanessa Ez. Attached was a well-designed flyer for a women's conference happening in Toronto in 3 weeks. There was my name listed beside 3 other women. Panel topic: Silent Wars Surviving Invisible Battles. I covered my mouth, overwhelmed. A complete stranger believed me and was now moving heaven and earth to help me. I applied for my passport the next day, quietly, carefully. My heart nearly gave out when the immigration officer asked, "You traveling for work or pleasure?" "Work," I replied, forcing a smile. "Advocacy, speaking." He stamped it, just like that. 2 days later, Vanessa's assistant sent me the flight ticket. Paid for, Toronto bound. My hands shook as I clicked download ticket. I told no one. I began preparing. I used the money Chike left me, the same money he thought would shut me up, to buy a modest suitcase, warm clothes, and a second-hand laptop. I practiced answering airport questions. I researched Canadian customs. I memorized the address of the conference venue. Each night before bed, I stared at pictures of Tari and Amara, whispering, "I'm coming for you. And when I arrive, I won't knock politely. I'll tear the whole damn door down." On the night before my flight, I left a note on the bed, not for him, for myself. "You're not leaving in shame. You're leaving in power. This is not escape. This is war." At 5:15 a.m., I stood at Murtala Muhammad International Airport with nothing but one suitcase, a printed boarding pass, and a name the world was just beginning to remember. Adebayo Nwachukwu, the woman who would make the world watch her rise from the ashes. My plane landed in Toronto on a cold Monday morning. The air bit at my skin the moment I stepped out of the terminal, sharp, unfamiliar but cleansing. Vanessa was there, not a driver, not an assistant, her, tall, composed, wrapped in a long beige coat, holding a sign that read, Ada in neat, bold letters. Welcome to your battlefield, she said with a small smile. We didn't hug, there was no time for pleasantries. She took my bag, walked briskly toward her car, and spoke in clipped sentences. Here's what's going to happen. You'll stay with my colleague. Tenny, quiet street, no cameras. No noise. We've booked a follow-up meeting with a pro bono custody team. You'll need to meet a trauma specialist. It'll help your testimony. The school your kids are in, we found it. We've got pictures. I blinked, trying to catch up. Wait, you already found them. Vanessa glanced at me from the driver's seat. I never play a game I'm not ready to win. I wanted to cry right then and there. But I didn't. I held it in. Because tears wouldn't serve me now, only strategy would. Tenny's house was in Brampton, quiet neighborhood. Tall trees, unassuming. She welcomed me with a warm nod and gave me the guest room upstairs. There was no time to rest. Over the next few days, I was swept into a whirlwind of legal preparation. Meetings, paperwork, affidavits, timelines. Vanessa's team documented everything. The forged travel consent, the financial theft from our joint account, voice notes I had saved from previous arguments, where Chike threatened to take the kids if I ever acted out. My video, now at 2.7 million views, and featured in 2 Nigerian blogs and 1 Canadian newspaper. I met with a trauma psychologist. She evaluated me for emotional impact and found more than enough to support a case for mental distress and unlawful parental separation. Then came the surveillance. Vanessa had hired a private investigator who followed Chike's second wife, Joanne, for 3 days. Photos came in. High-resolution shots of her dropping my kids off at school, holding their hands like she birthed them. The rage that boiled in my chest could have melted snow. But I channeled it. The last piece was location, where to strike. Vanessa chose family court in Ontario, where the children were currently residing. The team filed an emergency petition for custodial interference and parental abduction. The court granted a hearing date within 7 days. Chike still had no idea I was in the country. No idea I had built a case strong enough to bury his entire plan. I stared at the court documents in my hand, heart racing. This wasn't a story anymore. This was a storm, and I was the eye of it. Her name was Joanne Ez. Her online life painted her as a Proverbs 31 woman, Bible verses in her captions, family portraits in matching outfits, and the occasional quote about grace and second chances. She lived in a polished suburb outside Ottawa. Quiet, respectable, insulated. She had no idea I was a storm circling the walls of her glass house. The investigator Vanessa, hired, captured everything. Joanne dropped off my children at school every morning. She introduced herself to teachers as their legal guardian. I saw photos of her adjusting Amara's scarf, holding Tari's hand, giving them snacks in the backseat of a Volvo SUV. I studied her, the way she smiled, the way she dressed my kids like hers, the way she took up space that didn't belong to her. And then I saw the moment that broke me. Tari called her Mum. He held her hand, leaned into her, trusting, unaware. My heart didn't just ache, it cracked. I wanted to storm the car, pull them out, scream, shake her, fight her. But Vanessa reminded me, if you lose control now, you'll lose everything later. So I held the tears until I was alone in the bathroom, my fist shoved in my mouth, sobbing until I collapsed on the floor. The next morning, we served both Joanne and Chike with legal documents. She opened the door, barefoot. In a robe, the investigator handed her the sealed envelope. What is this? She asked. Custody petition. You've been living with abducted minors. Chike didn't believe it. He showed up to court late, confident, dressed like success. But the moment Vanessa's team began presenting evidence, forged documents, timestamps, financial records, and emotional testimonies, his smug expression collapsed. Joanne looked pale. She kept whispering, You told me she didn't care. You said she agreed. The judge listened, carefully. The court was packed with observers, some from advocacy groups who had seen my video online, some reporters. Chike tried to defend himself. He said I was unstable, unfit, depressed. But Vanessa calmly countered with psychological evaluations, witness statements, and public support from organizations. He called it overreaction. The judge called it parental abduction, emotional cruelty, and deliberate isolation. When the judge banged the gavel at the end of that hearing, the ruling was clear. Temporary full custody, granted to the mother pending final decision. Visitation rights suspended. Children to be removed from current guardian immediately. Joanne gasped. Chike slumped. Me, I stood tall, tears streaming silently. He came to destroy me in silence. I answered in public. The visitation center was silent when the door opened. My heart thudded wildly in my chest as Tari and Amara stepped in, accompanied by a court representative. Their eyes scanned the room until they landed on me. Tari blinked first. Mum! I opened my arms. Yes, baby, Mummy's here. He ran, she followed. They both crashed into me like a wave of life. I hugged them tighter than I ever had before. Amara was sobbing. They said you didn't want us. No, I whispered. That's not true. I never stopped wanting you. I never stopped looking. Tari touched my face. You look different. I've been fighting, I smiled. But I'm okay now. And we're going to be okay too. We talked for hours. I listened to everything they had to say. What they missed, what they were told, the confusion, the lies. It shattered me. But holding them, feeling their warmth, hearing their laughter, smelling their hair, reminded me why I never gave up. I didn't just get my children back. I got pieces of my soul stitched back into place. I knew he was watching the second video. Everyone was. I sat in a clean, quiet studio with a mic clipped to my sweater. A soft light behind me. No makeup, no fake smile, just truth. To the man who thought a signature could erase me, who took my children and gave them to a stranger. I hope the silence you left me in keeps you up at night. To the woman who dressed my children in matching outfits while I cried on their empty beds. I hope every smile you posted was worth the shame that followed. And to every woman watching, your silence is not your safety. Tell your story, even if your voice shakes. Because the truth, when spoken, can shatter everything built on lies. The video was raw, real, and ruthless. It went viral again. The comments were louder than before. Support, solidarity, and rage. Advocacy groups invited me to speak. I began sharing my story at conferences. I was offered a role at a women's shelter. People weren't just listening now. They were learning. I didn't get revenge. I got power. The final custody hearing was swift. The judge reviewed updates. Full psychological assessment. Clean housing situation. Proof of stability. The children's own testimonies. He ruled with clarity. Permanent sole custody to Adebayo Nwachukwu. No visitation. No contact. Assets to be divided by the court to ensure care of the children. The father is restricted from all unsupervised access. Chike didn't speak. He just stared. As I exited the courtroom, the kids ran ahead. Vanessa walked beside me, and he stood by the door. Expression blank, jaw tight, watching us leave. He didn't try to stop me. He knew better. Because I was no longer the quiet, unsure woman who waited at home for crumbs. I was the mother who crossed oceans, who outsmarted his lies, who made the whole world watch. And as the doors closed behind us, I didn't even glance back. Because he didn't just lose custody. He lost the war. Please like and subscribe to our channel for more stories.